And it's a very good morning to the Gelding on this very warm Saturday, Gelding. And no surprise in Victoria, another provincial meeting on a Saturday, which is the main racing event for the day in Victoria. What have you got to say about that, Gelding?
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. It's good to see you fired up today, Professor. Has someone lit a fuse under you, have they, today?
Gelding, it's Soapbox Saturday.
Well, we've got a bit to talk about on the soapbox today, but Professor, what's going on at Racing Victoria and the race clubs? Now, couple of things about today. We're at Geelong. Now, the state government have closed the Westgate Bridge to 2 lanes going down to Geelong until Monday. So if I move to Caulfield South to be close to a racetrack, I'd have to hop in the car to go to the races today in 38 degrees, go over a bridge, be in a traffic jam, having a 5-lane highway cut down to 2, because no one would want to go down to the peninsula this time of year, Professor, would they?
No, no one, Gelding. Especially on a hot day like today.
We've got a government that decides to block the roads the main time people want to use them for holidays. So we get a racing club or a racing administrator says that'd be a good time to hold a meeting down at Geelong, wouldn't it? When no one can get down there. Be interesting to see what the crowd is today, Professor.
So, Gelding, yes, it will. So, Gelding, we had a chat about it in brief last week, but my thoughts are this. There are 4 metropolitan tracks.
Yes.
That haven't been used 3 out of 4 Saturdays. I don't understand that. Like, where's the sense in that? And how are you attracting crowds back to racing if you keep putting the races further away from where the population actually is?
Well, you've amused me, Professor. You keep asking me questions that want common sense answers. So my only response to that is it's racing officialdom that, I don't know, they must be Aussie the ostrich. Well, it's got to be the head in the sand, doesn't it?
It does. Why have city? My question I've written on the card today. Why have city racecourses at all?
Well, yeah, fair point.
You know, if we may as well build houses on them.
Well,
may as well build houses on them. We're not using them regularly enough.
Well, the committees like to have their luncheons, Professor, and spend the members' money.
They need to have somewhere to have lunch, Gelding.
Exactly.
Now, another question about today, Gelding. Top temperature 37 or 38 degrees. You and I encountered this problem at Caulfield 2 Wednesdays ago.
Yes, when the temperature got to 31 degrees.
That's right, and it was going to be an early start. No early start today, Gelding. What's going on? Where's the heat policy?
Obviously, I don't know, Professor. Did Geelong get a sea breeze? Are they from Torquay?
It'd have to be a pretty good sea breeze, Gelding.
Hey?
It'd have to be a pretty good sea breeze.
All I can say again, Professor, is what the hell product are we being served up with in Victoria by Racing Victoria and racing committees? They have just lost the plot. And these people are very highly paid, Professor, and they'll tell you what a great job they're doing.
Well, Minister for Racing doesn't seem to be doing a very good job.
Well, when was the last time we heard from the Minister of Racing?
Oh, we haven't.
Well, I couldn't even tell you who it is.
Is there still a Minister for Racing?
And that's very rare for a politician not to want to talk, Professor.
Exactly right, Gelding. All right, Gelding. Now, one other question. I'm going to serve you up a lob here, Gelding. See if you can put it away for me. Given that we're at Geelong and given that it's an actual provincial meeting, but we want to attract people to it, of course, the purses for each race, now they'd have to be pretty good, wouldn't they, to lure people to Geelong?
You would think so.
Am I talking logic again, Gelding?
You are. And I will say to you, we are logical people. Why are we racing a horse in Victoria?
Well, it'd be better. You'd be better off racing it in Sydney or on the Sunshine Coast today.
Well, you have a look at today's race meeting. As you rightly pointed out, a provincial meeting because it's at Geelong and it's not a metropolitan meeting, but it's a Saturday race meeting, Professor. Now, Saturday race meetings, normally the minimum is 130,000 a race in Victoria, right? 30,000 less than New South Wales. Today on the Geelong program, where they're expecting us to drive down the 2-lane highway that Melbourne have got at the moment, there's 6 races, either 100,000 or less, Professor. So I just had a look at races at Randwick and races at the Sunshine Coast today. Randwick, all races are their normal city Saturday race meeting of 160,000, except for their 2 races, which the club races for country performers only, their highway and their midway. And they're offering 120,000 for those, 20,000 more than 6 races at Geelong today. And then we go to the Sunshine Coast. Let me say this, Professor. This is the Sunshine Coast, right? Queensland. Victorian racing, so they're the best in Australia, don't they?
Yes.
Queensland are offering 2 races at 150,000. So that's 50,000 more than 6 of the races today. And that's their lesser races, Professor. That's their minor races. Then they have 5 races worth $250,000, right? There's a $200,000 race today, and that's their main race. So 5 of their races are worth more than our main Saturday meeting today at Geelong. Then they have a race worth $500,000, then a race worth $1 million, and then a race worth $3 million. Now, if Queensland racing can do that, New South Wales can do that, why are we paying race committees and Racing Victoria their high salaries?
You know what the logic says, Gelding? Because the race meeting is at Geelong, they're not going to put all the money down there.
Well, why have the race meeting there?
Exactly.
There's the next logical question.
Exactly. It's like a dog like a dog chasing its tail, Gelding.
Well, Professor, they're not serving up a product, right? They're in the entertainment business. They are not serving up a product that is supposed to be one of the best racing areas in Australasia. You know, what they've served up the last month is, well, you know, very disappointing.
Now, Gelding, one last discussion on this point, and then we'll better go on to the tips. There's plenty of people who would be holidaying on the Surf Coast.
Yes.
Plenty of people, including Darren, a person we both know, Darren of Hampton, who will be down at Apollo Bay or thereabouts or somewhere around there.
Yes, but can we get him off the golf course to go to the races, Professor?
Well, we could get him off the golf course. Now, if I look at the fields today, Gelding.
Has Darren got a brown paper bag for us?
No, he should have, but he won't have.
He won't have. He'll do this one. Oh, you know what? Oh.
Yeah. Gelding, I looked at the fields today. I think it'd be fair to say, without disrespect, the fields are ordinary.
I wish we were racing, Professor.
Exactly. The fields are ordinary. So how are you going to entice people to the track? And you know that you've got a captive audience on the Surf Coast who might be looking around for something to do today, apart from being on the beach, right?
Yep.
But you haven't given them anything. People aren't going to go and just watch ordinary fields. If you give them something, they'll go. but there's got to be what's in it for me.
Yep. How hard was it to come up with the best bet today?
It was pretty hard.
Yeah. That, and not disrespectful, and there's some lovely horses out there, and we would like to own them and that there, and we would put our own horse into this category. That they're not highlight horses, are they?
No, Gelding. There's no showstopper there, is there?
No, there's nothing to say, well, this could be something special to follow during the autumn or the spring.
Yeah, I think it's reflected in the odds for a lot of the horses today, Gelding. There's a lot of horses around the same odds, which is unusual for a race.
Yeah, very open racing, Professor.
Yeah. All right, there's a 10-race card, Gelding. The first at 12.20. It shouldn't be at 12.20, but it is. The last at 5.55. That's definitely too late on a 37-degree day. Feature race, race 8, the Coastal Classic. It's an open race, Gelding, for 3-year-olds and above, worth $300,000. The track's a good 4. I've got an asterisk next to that, Gelding. It's going to dry out during the day no matter how much water they've put into it. So I would expect that the track rating will be upgraded, and punters should take notice of that. And the rail is in the true position, believe it or not, Gelding. So with all of that information and all of those gripes that we've got, Gelding, what are your 2 best bets for today's meeting at Geelong?
Well, Professor, I've had a good look at them yesterday, and I had the joy of being able to watch the cricket and study the race form yesterday. Very good day. And look, I've gone with 2 Freedman horses today, Anthony and Sam Freedman. They're, I'm sure you've got the stats, but they're just, fantastic trainers and right up there.
Can I just interrupt you there, Gelding, because
yes.
I have got the stats.
Yeah.
The Freedmans are in superlative form at the moment with a capital S. Their career winning rate is 17%. But over the last 50, Gelding, they are training at 28%. So over a quarter of the runners they're putting out are finishing in first position over the last 50. That's an excellent return, Gelding.
That's an excellent return, Professor. Well, how does that make the 47% of the Professor's parlay sound? Because we're talking about superlative form.
Yes.
And all
well, thank you for that, Gelding.
Yes. Look, the Cranbourne, the Freedmans train at Cranbourne and Mornington, so they're coming from over the other side of the city, over the bridge.
Well, maybe they'll use the ferry, Gelding.
Well,
go up through Queenscliff. It'll be a lot quicker. Yes,
they could use that. And probably be more refreshing, wouldn't it, for the horses?
It would. Yeah, no, I hope they've got their sea legs, Gelding.
See, Professor, that's why you're in your. That's why you're the professor, thinking left field brilliantly. But look, hopefully they both get down there. First one is race 6, 10. Harold Dust. It's a 4-year-old gelding by Harry's Angel. It's had 5 starts for 3 wins, Professor. Won its last 2 at the Caulfield Heath and at Bendigo. Last race being a benchmark 70. Moved up today to a benchmark 84, but is down on the bottom weight with 54, with D Moore to ride. Race 6, number 10, Heraldus. And as we said, have faith in the Freedmans today. My last bet today, Professor, is in the last race at 5.55. Race 10, number 2, Manilow Bling. Again, trained by the Freedmans to be ridden by Bo Mertens. Round about the $6, so good each way. Punting, Professor. This horse, Manilow Bling, is a last start winner. Believe me, on a metropolitan track. Won at Flemington, Professor, on the 5th of November during Cup Week. So, that's pretty good form for a Geelong meeting today, Professor. This is a 3-year-old grunt filly. Again, it's had 5 starts for 2 wins, a second and a third. Over $250,000 in prize money. So a horse going places, Professor. So my 2 today, both from the Freedmans. Race 6, number 10, Haroldas, and race 10, number 2, Manilow Bling. And you like, Professor?
Yeah, Gelding, because of the heat in the day, be no surprise to you that I'm going early. Will it?
How early, Professor? Is race 3, race 4?
Race 1, Gelding.
Must be my turn for the bets, is it,
It is,
Professor?
Gelding. It is. All right, so race 1, the SEN Track Stakes, benchmark 70 race for 3-year-old horses and above, over 2,400 metres. And I like in this race, Gelding, horse number 3, Chimed, coming out of barrier 2. It's had 24 starts for 4 wins and 8 placings, Gelding, so a 17% win rate, 50% place rate. Of those 4 wins, though, Gelding, this horse has hit a purple patch of form because it's had 3 wins over its last 4 races. It's a 6-year-old Gelding, sired by Frankel, so it's born to be a stayer.
Regally bred.
Yes, Gelding. Last race at Hamilton, it spotted the lead at 10 lengths and ran it down. It's up in class today. Fun fact, Gelding, this horse competed in a hurdle race in August last year.
Yes, a lot of these type of horses do that, trained by Simon Wilde down at Warrnambool. So has the magic waters of Warrnambool down there. So they do a lot of the cross training, jumping and flat racing.
Yeah, and Simon Wilde's in career form at the moment, Gelding, 15% over his career, but over the last 50, 18%. And Will Gordon on board as the jockey, he's in career form too, Gelding, riding at 12% at the moment. So race number 1, horse number 3, Chimed. And you can get good each way odds, Gelding, at the moment. You can get $8 and $2.50. So
good
punters
value,
should get onto
Professor.
that.
Nice value.
Second selection, Gelding, in race 2, the Prestige Jayco Geelong Handicap. Benchmark 64 for 3-year-old horses and above, over 1,700 metres. I like in this one, Gelding, horse number 2, Samurai. Remember the Samurai?
The Samurai, yes.
Going back to 1964.
Beautiful.
The Samurai arrived out in Australia, Gelding. He arrived at Melbourne. They likened the crowds for a Japanese TV actor to the Beatles. That's how popular he was with the kids.
It's a very popular show, Professor.
Yeah, so 13 starts, Gelding, for 2 wins and 6 placings, 15% win rate, 62% place rate. It's in equal class today. Last start winner, Gelding, that's what I like. I had a look at it over 1,600 metres at Seymour.
Yep.
My track.
Your track, named after you, yes.
Yeah. Definitely showed ping in the straight there, Gelding. It ran
Have you sold all that land up
very
in
nicely.
Seymour?
Sorry, Gelding?
Have you sold all that land up in Seymour, seeing they named it after you?
Oh, if only, Gelding, if only. And prior to that, Gelding, it had a second at this track, so it likes the track. Tom Preble's in the saddle, not a jockey we speak about often. And,
young apprentice?
Yes, and trained by the Freedmans.
The Freedmans.
So we're looking for a trifecta from the Freedmans today. So my 2, Gelding, race 1, horse number 3, Chimed. Race 2, horse number 2, Samurai. And now, the Professor's Parlay. The New Year's Day meeting, Gelding, Big Me. Big Me wasn't big.
A little bit disappointing, Professor, was thereabouts. Where did it run, 4th or 5th?
Yeah.
It looked as if it was going to make a move 200 metres out, but just didn't finish off, I didn't think.
No, it didn't run through the line, did it?
No. Like, it was beating a comprehensive 3 lengths, so, I was expecting a little bit more, Professor.
Yeah, I haven't black booked it, Gelding, for obvious reasons.
Beautiful.
All right, so today, Gelding, our agreed bet of the day is race number 6, horse 10, Heraldus, for all the reasons that you mentioned before. And let's parlay that into, I'm going to stick with the selections we made for the New Year's Day parlay. The Baltimore Ravens playing at home to beat the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore Ravens, number 3 in the AFC division. They're second in offence in the NFL, Gelding. They've won 11 from 16 games. They average scoring 30 points per game, Gelding, and you're going to win a lot of games in the NFL if you're scoring at least 30 a game. They've won 4 out of the last 5. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, Gelding, the running back and the quarterback, Too hard to go past. They'll be too good for the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns 14th in the AFC. They've only won 3 games, Gelding, so a season to forget for Cleveland. They only score a 15.5 points per game on average, Gelding. That's the worst in the NFL. If you're coming up against a team that scores 30, Gelding, and you only score 15.5, how many
You're in
times are you going to
trouble.
lose? They've lost 5 out of their last 5 games, so there's no surprise there, Gelding. Listen, Gelding, the line on New Year's Day was 17.5. The line today is 19.5. So the bookies have cooled down off the Cleveland Browns by another 2 points.
That's almost 3 converted tries, Professor.
Almost, Gelding, almost. So the Baltimore Ravens at home to beat the Cleveland Browns. And let's parlay that into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing at home, who've got to win to beat the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have had a very average year, Gelding. They're struck with injuries at the moment. Tampa Bay 4th in the AFC. They've won 9 from 16. They're ranked 4th in offense in the NFL. They average 29.5 points per game on offense. They've won 4 out of the last 5. They've got Baker Mayfield throwing touchdowns at will as quarterback. They've also got one of the best wide receivers in the game in Mike Evans. They'll be too good for New Orleans Saints, who are 13th in the NFC. Only won 5 from 16, Gelding. That's not a very good return rate. Only score at 19.5 points per game, so you'll lose more than games than you'll win doing that. They've lost 4 out of their last 5. They've got injuries at quarterback and tight end, so I think they can't wait for the season to finish. The line on this game was 13.5 on New Year's Day, Gelding. It's now 14.5, so it's over 2 converted touchdowns. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the New Orleans Saints. So the parlay today, Gelding, is race 6, horse 10, Heraldus, into the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Cleveland Browns, into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the New Orleans Saints.
I like it, Professor.
Hopefully we'll get a return, Gelding.
I like it.
All right, Gelding. Well, what a show this has been. We've had a crack at everybody. We've given people some great racing tips. The parlay's there for to win. So hopefully everybody will have some good luck today. Twilight meeting at Caulfield on Wednesday, Gelding, which we might be going to.
I'll be making the booking tomorrow, Professor.
Well, Gelding, in celebration of that, I think we should do a That's Racing for Wednesday. What do you think?
Yes, if that suits.
All right. Well, we'll arrange a time to do it, but it'll be going to air at 10 o'clock on the YouTube Sportsfan radio channel.
Yeah, no, 10 o'clock's fine with me, Professor, if that suits you.
All right,
on
Gelding.
Wednesday, and we can we pop out. I think it's around about a 3:40 start, so we might have a quick bite to eat out there for on GM Racing again. I think.
Oh, that'd be very nice, Gelding. That'd be very nice.
Will be nice, won't it?
All right. So until Wednesdays, That's Racing.